Hello everyone, I'm Mojisola Alabi. Digivation Future Summit and Awards 2024 took a deeper look at the relevance of governance, policy, and most especially people on the effect and how the future economy is shaped. Today we are here with Dr. Yele Okeremi of Precise Financial Systems Limited on how the sector or the ecosystem of software is actually contributing its quota to the future economy of Nigeria. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Always a pleasure, Muji. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, sir. So let's dive straight to the questions. What is your assessment of the impact of innovation on Nigeria's financial software ecosystem?
So there are two ways to look at software adoption. Okay. And the conventional way is the way it used to be done in the past, where we used to do data processing, where software people just attempted to automate the processes as they were being carried out by the operators at that time. But things have gone very far away from that era. So now we recognize the fact that if you automate an inefficient process as is, what you are likely going to get is multiply the inefficiency. And therefore, if you really want to introduce software or technology to a particular phenomenon, it is best for you to first of all internalize and understand that phenomenon perfectly, and then take a look at it and ask yourself why every process along that value chain is going on. And then when you understand why, you then ask yourself, are these reasons still tenable under the current technological and social environment? When you have answered that question, then you can actually introduce a new business model. And then when you introduce a new business model, that's innovation. You're now altering the status quo. That new business model now becomes what you want to automate. And then you bring in software to drive the new business model. Then that is the real meaning of innovation. So what you have technically done is actually even changing the way people behave, changing the processes sometimes, introducing technology, and changing the people's mindset. So it's impossible for you to talk about innovation without talking about software.
And how would you say these are shaped in Nigeria technology ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, so many things are going on in Nigeria today in the technology ecosystem. So much is happening. Till sometimes erroneously assume that salvation is going to come from the east or from the west, whereas indeed we are probably even ahead of the curve. I mean, take a look at the financial system, the payment system in Nigeria. I've said this anywhere, so many places. Our payment systems are pretty sophisticated. Nigeria has been doing instant payment for probably 20 years now, and we take it for granted. Now, the EU is announcing that they want to start instant payment. I mean, I read something some months ago, maybe about 2 months ago, where Switzerland now talks about trying to do instant payments. And then they are now, they are even saying that they're going to charge some premium for certain transactions to happen. And people would assume that it's only people that are sophisticated that have accounts in Switzerland. But here we are in Nigeria, we've led the world. Nigerians have been doing instant payments 24/7 for 20 years. Some of the countries we're talking about, including the United States, are nowhere near as sophisticated as we are, and yet we are looking up to them for solutions. So, in actual fact, we've gone reasonably ahead of the curve. A lot to be desired, and I can tell you about the areas that I think we have to do a lot more. So, in terms of software, one of the things we need to understand is that becoming a software powerhouse does not necessarily mean you must have been an industrial powerhouse before. You could actually leapfrog. You can now can skip the first, second, and third industrial revolution and actually champion the fourth industrial revolution because they're really not related. What are the key ingredients to the fourth industrial revolution? And then we assess where we are as a country and find out whether indeed we can position and play well. Now, so what do we require for the fourth industrial revolution? Two important things: human capacity and probably we talk about the market. If you take a look at us, I've said this several times, perhaps if you transplanted my own brain into Bill Gates' head, he probably would be doing a lot better than he's doing. So there are so many black people that are a lot more intelligent. A number of times I look outside my window, just looking at Yaba Tech, and I see people strolling, walking along the roads. And there are so many of them that are in the class of Bill Gates, you know. So many of them are in the class of Zuckerberg, you know. The difference is that here, we do not give them a platform.
The environment.
Yeah. So what do? It's a country system that kills its own prophets. So what I'm saying is that, look, in terms of human endowment, in terms of intellect, I think it is fairly evenly distributed globally. Americans are not near as intelligent as we are. Europeans, no. In fact, when you talk about intelligence, probably you go to Asia, you start talking, maybe we start meeting our class. All right? So, I mean, the Chinese, people talk about the Chinese, they may be able to, they basically are able to copy and replicate very fast. But when you take a look at an average Nigerian, even an average Nigerian young man, young lady, because our environment has conditioned us to question, we learned never to trust even authorities. That gives us an inborn spirit to question. And that capacity to question is very, very important in innovation. So that puts us at an advantage. And like I said, my opinion is that intellectual capacity is evenly spread. So when you add the capacity to question to reasonable intellectual capacity, ordinarily speaking, we should be far away from where we are. But for the factors that play, I still see it, even sometimes, even at my own level. I'm still speaking in some places, and somebody is still looking for might be Ernst & Young or might be KPMG. So who is the group MD of KPMG globally? Probably the group MD, the person who is sitting at the helm of KPMG, graduated years after I had graduated. And so I'm still speaking, you still want him to validate. Validate what? Does he have what it takes to even question what I say? But just as long as some people think that, you want a different color, these are kind of things that are actually keeping us, below. And that's why we are still where we are. So we need to understand that, yes, every country needs to understand that there are national champions. And those national champions should be developed for global relevance. And that's what we are not doing well enough. The moment we begin to do some of I'm sure it's one of the news now, one of the banks has migrated to an African application. Why did they go to, they will have also gone and done what other banks are doing, look for salvation in India. Indians may be able to do it, but I'm saying that if they can do it, why can't we do better? We have what it takes to do much more than we are doing. So first, we need to understand that as a nation, we need to develop that, utilize it, consume it, develop it, make it smarter, make it better, and take it to the rest of the world.
So there's need for trust in African softwares or Nigerian softwares?
Not even software alone, products. Look, so sometimes, I have been involved in projects for nearly 40 years now. So sometimes, you see, the way we are patient when Indians, Americans are running projects. They commit a lot of blunders sometimes, and people are, okay, they will correct it. Nobody asks questions sometimes. But let a Nigerian company, you've actually done the job, you are going live, an issue happens. You tell me there's absolutely no way you are going to implement a new solution that there will be no issues. What determines whether the solution is going to succeed or not is called resilience. How quickly you respond to those issues and how well you take care of them. The moment it happens to a Nigerian software, you hear people who have little capacity to reason say, no, let's roll back. That's absolute nonsense. If it was done by Jews or done by Indians, you see them nodding their head. You see, and until we come to a point where we understand that our people have the capacity to do these things and we're going to stay with them, then we are not going to develop. So those are the real issues that are bedeviling our system.
So with all these areas that you have mentioned, and you emphasizing on global relevance, how can Nigeria's indigenous software ecosystem be sustained in order to be competitive enough on the global stage or marketplace?
Is you start from your homestead. You build your muscles, you make your mistakes, you learn from them, you perfect it in your homestead. And I said it earlier, yes, the population of Nigeria does provide an advantage. The population, and even the population of businesses in Nigeria is increasing. Of course, there's a way you look at the population and you say it's high, but when you talk about the relevant population, you realize how low it is. When I say the relevant population, relevant population are those that have the spending capacity. So like somebody had said some time ago that, if you don't belong to the people that have spending capacity, or you don't belong to the people that have specialized knowledge, or you don't belong to the capacity of people that produce very important things, then you are just one of the several surpluses all over the world. And that statistically speaking, it is better to be a cow in Europe than to be in that category. And that statistically speaking, because a cow in Europe is subsidized $2 a day. And there are people there that on their head, they don't make $1 a day. So a cow in Europe is statistically more significant than such people. You don't want to be in that category. But when you take a look at what's going on in the system today, where Nigeria has been said to be, very significant leader in the poverty. So you say you are 200 million people. How many people actually are able to have $100 a day? So when you do that projection, yes, it looks like you have a large population, but the market is not as large as you want it to be. However, that is a challenge and an opportunity simultaneously. So smart leadership would rather take a look at how do we convert that challenge to opportunity. And the way to do it is understand the fact that you have found yourself is upon you, and what are you going to do? So first of all, stop thinking highfalutin things. They are not going to work. You want to buy a Lamborghini and drive, on which road are you going to drive it? It's a joke. So what you should rather do is appreciate the fact that you have bad roads, you have poor infrastructure, and then spend your time developing that. So in that instance, recognize the fact that you have a lot of very uneducated people, and a lot of people have gone to school in Nigeria today, and you and I know that they are not productive, and there are several factors that are causing that. So we have to recognize that that is where we are, and let's not struggle to deny it. Now, secondly, we have to look at such people and find a means of employing them, doing low-level things. Because see, God even created the world. God doesn't need 90% people to be geniuses. He only needs about 0 point something percent as geniuses who are able to come up with phenomena that the rest of the world can run with. So the point is, how do we get those geniuses and those people that are really smart in the right positions? So the rest of us can actually operate. So if you have people that are plumbers, people that are bricklayers, people that are tilers, people that can do those kind of work, of course, if we created an environment where, for example, like I said, construction becomes very important and it can be very significant, then you realize that such people become at least productive. They can fend for themselves, while you then realize and say to yourself that, yes, these people may be at this level, but they are children. You want to put a process in place that will guarantee that their children will not be in that position. And what are we going to do to address that? Just one very important thing, or two important things. Smart mind in a very sharp body. A smart mind in a sound body. So look at healthcare, guarantee that healthcare will be good pretty much for everybody, and then ensure that we look at our educational system. And look at the educational system and provide what I call relevant education, not education just for the head. Everyone wants to have have a degree. We promote those areas. We give priority to those areas that are going to give us at least initial head starts.
Yes.
So what are the things that, take a look at what we are doing here. Agriculture is a very major part of our lives. Even though oil extractive industry has killed everything, but again, the chicken is coming to roost. We have to understand that we need to begin to create people who have knowledge in the areas that affect us, agriculture. And then you have also said it, technology, software particularly. Software is a level playing ground globally. What is there? Intellectual capacity, the structure, and discipline. End of story. Those two areas. There are so many other areas that we might be able to look at, but we look at those areas, begin to develop people in those areas, and the Pareto principle really does work. If you have sufficient monies coming in from those two areas, they can finance the rest of everything that you want to do. Then you begin to take a look at the future.
So basic thing is we need to go back to the drawing board.
We have to
go back to the basics, re-strategize, replan, and gradually put a timeline to it.
Absolutely correct.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Always a pleasure.
And we look forward to the progressive future of Nigeria's software ecosystem.
Innovation and lifestyle. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. www.youtube.com/Digivationnetwork.